This is Creative Motion TV with Tricia Harmon, an extension of Creative Motion magazine. With each episode, I serve up an amazing blend of Christian talent from right here in the great state of Michigan. It's kind of like the extra whipped cream on your favorite caramel macchiato, without the guilt. Get ready, sit back, and drink it all in. You're going to enjoy every drop. Welcome to Creative Motion TV. I'm Tricia Harmon. I'm here with Patricia Rose, and we're sitting in our rehearsal hall in Rockford, Michigan, where we are going to be premiering Eyre of Thornfield Hall. Patricia is a resident of the Grand Rapids area, and we are so privileged to have her. She is so accomplished as a director, a producer of the Actors dell'Arte Ensemble of West Michigan that was formed in 2002. They produce stage productions, dinner theaters, reader theaters, and an improv called Spur of the Moment. She also is a dancer, a choreographer, director, producer, playwright, actor, and actor coach. She's done singing, telegrams, worked for Disney, and is a published author. She's been performing all her life and opened her first dance studio in New York in 1963. I was a baby. That's amazing. She's also a mime artist, and she was an artist in resident in Toledo, Ohio, worked in several school systems in the theatrical, and this is so noteworthy that she's worked with the DARE program and with low-income families. She's belonged to the Dance Master of America for several years, as well as judging and teaching at the Junior Miss Pageants. She's run theater art camps in Rockford, Michigan every summer for the last 11 years. So there's so many other amazing accomplishments. We can't list them all because she truly is a lifetime thespian and an amazing coach and director and teacher. So thank you for doing this. I'm so privileged to be a part of this Eyre of Thornfield Hall. I know I shared a lot of your repertoire, but let me ask you, what gave you a love of theater?
Well, it started when I was 3 years old. My mother said I used to wrap scarves around my waist. She had classical music on the old 78 records, and I would dance all over the house. And I didn't even know what theater was at that time, but it was just kind of an innate thing in me. I saw my first puppet show, The Tinderbox. It was actually marionettes in the school I attended, and I fell in love right then and there with theater.
So how old were you when you actually got to perform?
I was 7 years old. I studied ballet with a Russian dance teacher. They had moved to the United States, and yeah, I was 7 when I first went on stage as a dancer.
And I can only imagine you probably are losing count and probably keeping a list of all the productions you've either been involved with or have directed in some way or another.
Yeah, it gets to be, after a while, as we age, I still remember my lines once in a while. But all kidding aside, no, you almost, when you're reading your own resume, it's like, did I do that?
Yeah.
I really did that, you know, because it just, after a while, when you've done so many things, it all becomes like, you know, part of a dream.
Yeah,
in a way.
I can imagine.
But I loved every minute of it. I met some wonderful people, such as Trish, and along the way, had many marvelous teachers. And theater is, to me, a great learning experience for people.
So tell us a little bit about what prompted you to do Eyre of Thornfield Hall this year.
I am a lover of classic literature to begin with, and a romantic at heart. And I've always wanted to do Jane Eyre, and I don't know why I didn't do it earlier on, because I've done a lot of Charles Dickens stories and so on. And I just recently watched Jane Eyre, the last movie Hollywood put out, and I said, gosh, I want to do Jane Eyre. And I talked to a couple of my friends, and they said, oh, that would be so much fun. And that's really how I got started on it. And then I did, you know, my own version of it, so to speak. I had to, you know, write the script and so on based on the novel, which was rather lengthy. There is rather lengthy.
Well, you actually even turned it into a musical, so you added music to it.
Yeah, well, I have some wonderful vocalists in this too.
Why not take advantage of it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I love it. I love it. So, as
when you said, you know, you're a fan of Charles Dickens, so this takes place when?
1840s.
Yeah, so mid.
In London, England. Actually, Thornfield Hall was outside of London.
Which
in
was
the
the
story.
same time that Charles Dickens.
Oh, absolutely. That's
works
when
were
he
around.
wrote, you know, a lot of his famous stories. Was in that same time period, pre-Civil War in our country.
And so as you started casting for this, did you have an idea of the kind of people that, you know, did you have connections? Because there is a theater group here in the Sparta, Rockford area.
Yeah, well, one thing about Grand Rapids in general, it has more, I think, community theater per capita than most cities in the United States. But I've just been very blessed with the cast I have right now. It's like, I thought to myself, how am I going to make this happen? And I just envisioned this actually happening and people coming, and they did.
Yeah.
And not like that, I'm in love with my cast, I usually am.
And you
I'm very
have quite an array of
pleased.
ages.
Yes,
And talent.
yes.
So tell us a little bit about the age range and.
Well, I don't think most people like to tell you the real age, but, you know, I say we have actors that go from 60 down to probably the youngest actor is around 10 or 11. Yeah.
Yep. And the experience level varies as well. Some
Yes.
of them are brand new, and you take them on, mentoring them along the way and helping them create that character and stay with it. And then you have to maybe reel in some of us seasoned ones who kind of go rogue a time or two, right?
Yes.
Who's harder to handle, the seniors
Well,
and the experienced ones?
children still have the magical thinking. They're like sponges, they learn
Yeah.
very quickly. And adults sometimes, and I say sometimes, tend to think they've already arrived when you never arrive in theater. It's
No.
always a matter of growing and progressing and learning. Every
Yeah.
time you do any kind of show or production, it's something new.
Yeah, and you asked me when I auditioned, I did a read for you, and you asked me a very valid question that I thought was brave and very, very wise. And the question she asked was, are you able to take instruction from a seasoned director? Do you remember that?
Vaguely, yes.
Yeah.
Because Tricia's also a director, so.
But I think that that was really, really a great way to establish our relationship, because I am a lifetime learner. And like you said, I will never get to there, and I'll never get where I want to be. I'm always striving and learning and picking up, and every production.
And that keeps you the creative mind.
Yes,
It
absolutely.
keeps the energy and the will and the love of learning is really the basis, I think, for most creativity in the arts, whether it's singing, dancing, acting.
Yeah. And it keeps the production vibrant, it keeps you vibrant and relational as we mingle and try to marry up our characters. And so let's talk about when this is going to be and the dates and the times.
It's going to be Friday, November the 30th, at 8 o'clock. Saturday, December 1st at 8 o'clock. And Sunday, December the 2nd at 2 p.m. matinee at the historic Kent Theater in Cedar
In
Springs,
Cedar
Michigan.
Springs. So
Yeah.
that's going to be awesome. Hopefully there won't be a snowstorm. just
No,
before
wait,
there.
wait. We just think good thoughts.
Yes, absolutely.
Good thoughts.
And so I want to bring in some other characters that are leads in this. Why don't you introduce them?
Okay, would love to. I have two actors. The young Jane Eyre is played by a young girl that lives here in Rockford by the name of Teresa. And she's 13 years old.
She's
And we're
phenomenal.
lucky enough to have the adult Jane Eyre with us this afternoon. And this is Christy Dennis. And the dashing
Mr.
Edward Rochester is Matthew Gumerson, who's also here this afternoon. And they're both doing a terrific job of portraying these two characters.
They're young, but they're seasoned, they are mature, and they're phenomenal.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to introducing them to you as well. So we'll see you November 30th, December 2nd and 1st at the Kent Theater in Cedar Springs. get your tickets at the door, and ticket prices are,
Adults 10, students 5, and seniors 8.
and so we will put that in at the end of the notes here, but we look forward to bringing that to the Sparta, Cedar Springs, and Greenville and Rockford area. And so, thank you so
And
much.
thank you, Tricia.
Oh, this has
It's been great.
It's been amazing too. I love it. Joining me now is the two lead characters that are the adult Jane Eyre, Christy Dennis, and then Matthew Gomison playing Edward Rochester, or as I have had slip of the tongue, Mr. Rogers occasionally. So we pray that that never comes out on stage. That's the one thing that. But thank you for joining us, and we just want to introduce you to the Creative Motion TV viewers and also to Grand Rapids too. So Christy, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in theater.
Oh goodness. I've been doing theater for a long time. Probably the first introduction to it outside of kind of high school theater and sleeping through performances as a very young kid. Our church would always do an Easter sunrise service, and the youth group would put on a play and do a breakfast, and that was like the thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably what made me interested in it. But then as my older sisters were always in the musicals and always doing those different things, I was helping out on the set and then would get cast as the kid who needed to say the line that no one was short enough to say. And it just kind of grew from there. It was a lot of fun to figure out who I could be.
Yeah. How about you, Matthew?
Well, as a kid, I didn't really like the whole acting and being involved with the church programs. But in 2002, I was trying to get into the music industry, and that wasn't really going very well. So I saw an open audition for The Sound of Music, and so I auditioned for that, and I've been involved in community theater ever since.
So what role did you have in The Sound of Music?
It was a chorus part,
Okay.
so supernumerary, but I had a lot of different roles. So I was off changing costume and back on,
And you both are very accomplished now in theater. When I came in, I didn't know either of you, and I'm watching them rehearse, and it's just like you guys looked like you just belonged together. It was a beautiful development of your roles and how you related to each other. And you were married with oodles of kids. I swear, between my family of 9 and your family of 6, we've got a football team at least, right? And you're married also.
I have a dog.
And you have a dog. So that's dual income.
Yes. The dog takes a lot of effort, I tell you.
But you guys have brought so much to this production. So tell me what brought you to this point and gave you such a love for this production. What are you loving best about it?
I think this will be the second thing I've done in this time period. The other was Little Women the Musical quite some time ago, where I was the brat, Amy March.
Oh.
And that was fun, but I think to play an adult through the whole thing instead of just for a very, very brief section is fun. I don't know that I've ever had at least a dramatic rather than more comic relief romantic role. That again was for more than a couple of seconds here and there.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge in a different way to just kind of keep moving through this very quick change of time and different things.
Yeah, just to say, I love Little Women, and my kids grew up on Little Women, and I have a daughter who actually wanted to play Joe all the time, and she always called me Marmee, and so now I get the privilege of my grandkids calling me Marmee. So it's really kind of cool the way it's come around. How about you, Matthew? What really is captivating you about this performance?
Well, I've always been a fan of classic literature since I was quite young, so I've read Jane Eyre several times, and I love the story, so when I had the opportunity to be part of it, it just fit.
You schooled me on Jane Eyre, and I was like, you read it? Good job. So that's awesome, because you're not just coming to this as filling a role, but you're coming in as educated and really an idea. You even knew how I was related to you as a distant cousin, because I actually am playing the housekeeper, Alice Fairfax. And you kind of schooled me and said, well, you are a distant cousin of mine. And so that was wonderful. And you both have absolute gorgeous voices. So Miss Rose actually wrote in some songs for both of you to sing, and it just adds such a beautiful dynamic to the whole production. And so again, thank you guys so much. Are there some things that you'd like, what are you aspiring to with the rest of your career in theater? Is it something that's just a sideline, or are you hoping to take it somewhere? How about you, Matthew?
Well, I've looked at moving into like television and things like that. I've done a couple film roles, but I do really just love the community theater thing, the whole environment of it, and the fact that every performance you do is just, you have to be right there in the moment for the audience, and it's always so different.
Right. Right.
So you don't get that energy from film that you do from the audience in live theater.
And it keeps you on your toes.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. How about you?
You know, at the moment, more of a side thing. I took probably a 10-year hiatus from theater, just with life, wasn't able to do it. And now getting back into it, I would love to do it more, but life is still happening.
Yeah. It's amazing though, because I remember raising my kids, and we did it as a family. So, you know, we did Scroogical, and every one of my kids were in it, and I remember little Marion, who's now almost 17 years old, was, you know, just at my knees singing. And so what I want to ask is, how can we stay in touch with you? Like, Matthew, do you have a handle or a social media username that people can kind of stay in touch with you?
You can just look up my name on Facebook if you want to friend me. I'm friends with a lot of theater people in the Grand Rapids area and things like that.
Good.
So
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Just Facebook for me. There's no Twittering or tweeting or whatever you call it.
Okay. So we'll
We're not that cool yet.
Well, we'll make sure we put all that in the notes as well. But thank you so much. I can't wait. This is going to be a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun getting to know each other. We kind of keep each other silly and giddy at times, and then on our toes when we really need to bring it. But it's just been an amazing opportunity to get to know you both. So thank you again. And please join us, follow us on Facebook. We will have a Creative Motion TV link to this and how you can get your ticket, the show times, and the dates. And so thanks for joining us. Make sure your cup is always full to flow into others. Have a great day. So joining me is now the lead role. Joining me now are the leads to the Jane Eyre of Thornfield Hall. We have the adult Jane Eyre, Christy Dennis, and we have Mr. Edward Rochester, and his name is